program is State Affairs on Splash 105.5 FM, the Integrity Station. My name is Edmundo Bilo. I'm happy you are riding with me. It's the radio man's time. It's your time. In this class, I break down some of the events of time using my analytical power. Also open to learning from you and hearing your views. Take note, we don't. And because we don't, does not mean we disagree. It's only an opportunity for us to intensify the conversation so that we find a meeting point. That's how to build a country. When a people speak with one voice, there's something wrong with their education. And you find the people who speak with one voice, especially when they are very poor. That is when you can easily command them to toe one line. When you have educated men, have you gone to a university and watched professors discuss on subject? They are arguing from different angles because of the wide knowledge they have acquired. So when you say a people speak with one voice, there's something wrong with their education. They have not been exposed to different ideas of knowledge. They have been cornered by some of their intellectuals to think in one direction so that they can be used for political purposes. And because they do that, they will remain underdeveloped. What Awolowo did for the Southwest should be celebrated all the time. Free education. It brought civilization to the peak of Nigerian development. And the Yoruba state still benefits from it today, despite the poor leadership of its present sons and daughters. The educational spectrum that Aregbesola provided over time, you can have corrupt governors in the Southwest, but it does not stop some Yoruba citizens from enacting their innate intelligence to survive. You still find that in Igbo land. Ejurika talked about Oxford University education. Yes, fine, link where you got it. But I also don't believe you need to go to Oxford to be the best mind. I also don't believe that you even need university education to be brilliant. No, that's what you call innate ability, innate intelligence. If I've read about the Enlightenment in Europe, the Reformation in Europe, it was triggered by great thinking. I was looking at the book on Yoruba proverbs written by Baba Ijola. He gave me a copy. Some of the proverbs in the book were proverbs that were developed by Yoruba intellectuals over 2,000 years ago. Did they go to university? University education is fine. But have you wondered why professors, vice chancellors in our universities are as corrupt as the governors? Why a professor will want to squeeze the sexual life out of a little girl? Have you asked why? That professor has education. Why our professors are running universities to ground? For now, we are blaming the federal government. But the university administrators are worse than the members of the political leadership in their behavior, in the way they manage university funds. But because the general leadership, the big leadership, the political leadership does not come to equity with clean hands, so it cannot clean up university administration. They are also as corrupt as anything. Instead of building laboratories, they get contracts to build structures that they don't need. Ugly structures scattered in most of our universities. Very ugly. I was looking at the model of Obafemi Awolowo University when it was built. Look at the structures. Very beautiful, well planned. And I was driving through the Polytechnic the other day. I was looking at some of the structures built by Ted Fund. I was asking, who are the contractors that built this? Very ugly, bent, rough walls. You even look at the university environment, it's dirty. It's dirty. So it's not about being a professor. There's more to it, education. There's more to education than even the formal education that you have in the classroom. That is not to say Harvard is not good. Because at the point in time, one of my dreams was to go to Harvard, Oxford or Cambridge. But if wishes were horses, beggars would ride. When I could not, I settled for the ones I have here. And I have learned too, and I continue to learn. The point is that we don't need to go to Oxford. We can afford. Obafemi Awolowo University, we turn it to Cambridge. So that whites will also come here and we'll teach them. Have you read about the UI School of History in the 1960s, the days of the Kenneth Dike? White men were coming from Oxford to teach in the Department of History here. They were everywhere. At Obafemi Awolowo University. Some of them were coming to have their PhDs here. Have you read about Makerere University in Uganda? Scholars like Ali Mazrui, Africans, were some of the greatest scholars in the world. Why did we destroy our system? The British treated us better than our leaders of the moment. In the 1950s, there were trains going through Oshogbo, Kaduna. There were trains built by the whites for Africans. Our leaders destroyed them. So I had to wait till 2021 for me to ride in a train for the first time in Nigeria. I'm more than 40. I'm approaching 50. And my dad told me there were trains in the past. That means the present leaders are worse than the past ones. The present democratic leaders are even worse than the... But that's not to say that military government should be accommodated. I resisted. Look at this. If Buhari and Tinubu were brilliant, Katsina would not be the home of poverty and ignorance. If Tinubu and friends were brilliant, Lagos would be competing with beautiful cities like Dubai and Singapore. If Tinubu was brilliant, Lagos will not be the world's second least livable urban area as defined by the Economist Intelligence Unit. The Intelligence Unit, EIU, in its latest 2022 Global Livability Index, ranked Lagos 171 out of 172 countries in the list of most livable cities in the world for the first quarter of 2022. By this, Lagos is in the same category as war-torn, social unrest and terrorist-infested mega capitals like Damascus in Syria and Tripoli in Libya. What are the factors that put Lagos in this bracket? They include poor healthcare facilities, dirty environment, high crime rates, violent politics, poor road and education infrastructures, and the prevalence of acute poverty. You can see how the APC is turning portable into a public nuisance. That young boy, instead of becoming redemptive, is abused by political leaders. He comes out to say he formed some of the most dangerous cult groups that kill people. And he runs to was the former URTW chairman in Lagos State, MC Oluomo, And you begin to say society losing its senses. And the political leadership, you could see how Oyetola was accommodating Portable. He's an entertainer, no doubt. But the young man is becoming something else. And he's been accommodated by the political leadership that should call him to order. And because he will inspire other young persons to emulate him. Because they discover that if you behave that way, you get closer to power. And if you get closer to power, you get more money. No, Lee Kuan Yew will not allow that. No. The Nigerian police should call Portable to order. He had the effrontery to stand on Awolowo's statue, half naked, and fatten into the mouth of a legend. All in the name of promoting Oyetola. In fact, he reduced the quality of that gentle governor. I've met Oyetola. Does Oyetola need that to win election? Did he win? Osun State has elected a dancer. Who am I to talk about the quality of Adeyeye? Osun State has made its choice. I wish them well. In the next 4 years, we'll be watching. But I tell you, Osun State will provide nothing redemptive. Oh, is Tinubu? Yes, Tinubu has been dealt with. That's not the way I see things. I said the people of Osun have been dealt with. And it is clear now, very clear, that if you are not rich, you can't be a leader. That has been clear. That system will not produce great leadership. Okay, I'm waiting for him to buy the jet for the Oni, and let's see the Oni be flying around the world. Oni will soon be a jet owner. Oni will fly from Mexico to America. Since they love private jets, I think if they should be thinking, we love private jets, so let's begin to produce private jets so that we can fly so high. I'm talking about Lagos. Lagos is not a livable city according to this ranking. And the governor of Kaduna State, Nasir El-Rufai, in a press conference early this year, defines the Lagos he knows.
I don't know how people in Lagos survive. Every day, 4 hours in traffic for 5 days. I don't know if Saturday and Sunday are enough for them to rest. That's why I feel that all those that have lived in Lagos for 20 years should just go straight to heaven because they have already lived in hell. Honestly, they have paid their due, so they should just be given free pass, Anyway, so for us, the 4-day work week is working very well. There is no salary cut, nothing. 1 extra day on your hands to catch up, to do this, to do that.
State Affairs with Edmondo Bilo is live.
If you want to scare me, tell me to come to Lagos to meet you. Nothing scares me like it. I don't think I've gone to Lagos in the last 1 year. I've refused every invitation. There's this fear. Because if you want to frustrate me, put me in the traffic. If you just want to frustrate me, put me in traffic. I have lived in Lagos, I've experienced it, I was frustrated many times. It does not have transportation. Lagos does not have internal rails. And Tinubu is using Lagos to campaign. Have you gone to some places in Mile 12? Have you seen the poverty in Lagos? The riches that comes from Lagos, I don't think it's even the deliberate effort of the political leadership. It's because the centrality of Lagos over time, a port city. So Lagos makes its own money. Whether you put a Dundee as the governor, Lagos will make money. If you put a great leadership, the money from Lagos would develop the Southwest. Because somehow that investment will spill over. It's not just about Lagos. What about Ibadan? Do you see what Ibadan is turning into? Even El-Rufai's Kaduna, that Peter Obi talks about sometimes. Including Wike's Port Harcourt. So these chaotic cities tell of the character of the Nigerian leadership. Organized cities provide the criteria for defining development. They have working transportation models, standard healthcare and education facilities, and their environment are beautiful with minimum crime rates. These are the factors that the Economist Intelligence Unit considered to rank the top 5 most livable cities in the world, and the cities are Vienna in Austria. You have Copenhagen in Denmark and Switzerland. Calgary in Canada and Vancouver also in Canada are livable cities. What about Tokyo, Paris? To achieve a livable city or country, Lee Kuan Yew in his book said Singapore needed well-staffed and well-directed institutions to follow up the exhortations and stirring speeches delivered by the leadership. Where are the well-delivered speeches of Buhari, Tinubu, and Atiku? Speeches to inspire devotion and patriotism. Lee says to achieve the Singapore of advanced development, the Ministry of Education was given the responsibility to marshal out practical initiatives to change people's thinking. Get that clear? Thinking. And their attitudes. He says they gave themselves a decade to accomplish this, 10 years. They gave themselves 10 years to change the mindset of their people. That's what you call mental revolution. You must change the way people think for development to happen. There are some interviews I'm doing soon on my YouTube account, so you can subscribe to Edmond Obelo's YouTube channel. I've been asking questions about the Amajiri system. What is this about? How can it be reformed for development? You know, some people will say, like we against them. That's not how I see it. Ejorika said them, you need them. Yes, they need themselves, no doubt. But humanity is one. So these, Hausa, Fulani, I don't see it that way. Even though I know who I am. But that's not what I project. When I see a common northerner on the street begging, I feel pain. There are times I weep quietly. Especially when I see the children. Sometimes I stand there looking at them. I'm always heartbroken. And my daughters will be asking, Papa, why are you looking at them? Why are they there? People say, why are they there? Why is their mommy there? Papa, why are they eating there? Papa, look at that dirty. Sometimes, I don't know what to tell them. That these are children like them. And they are scattered everywhere. And you think you will have peace. Drive them out of Ibadan. There are more than 100,000 displaced children in Osun State. They can't find their mothers, they can't find their fathers. War has displaced all of them. Some of them are the young boys that have grown up now. You see them riding Okadas everywhere in Ibadan. And you think we should not take care of them. If we don't, they will take care of us. You think what is happening in Borno will not come here, right? You think it won't? Let it continue to escalate. In the next 10 years, you see what happens here. That is why I tell you, wake up now. Wake up now. You cannot continue to elect the same people who brought us to this level. And you think everything will be fine. Where everything is transactional. You want to buy votes to win election. And you think that person will do well when he becomes the leader. 23 years into the Fourth Republic, Nigerians are getting poorer as violence rises. Power grid collapse is almost becoming a daily occurrence. The latest is that the financial condition of the Nigerian state has reached its worst form, as the cost of debt repayment surpasses the government's revenue in the of 2022. According to details of the 2022 Fiscal Performance Report for January through April, Nigeria's total revenue stood at 1.63 trillion naira, while debt servicing stood at 1.94 trillion, showing a difference of over 300 billion naira. Giving a breakdown of the situation, the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, on Thursday, 21st of July, said that gross oil and gas revenue of the Federation for the first 4 months of the year was projected at 3.1 trillion naira. But as at April 30, only 1.2 trillion naira was realized. This is mere 39% performance. Government blames pipeline vandals and crude oil thieves and high petrol subsidy cost for the situation. Peter Obi speaks of the situation Nigeria is going through. He talks about loans as Nigeria becomes Titanic.
First 5 months of last year, Nigeria borrowed or debt servicing total revenue from January to May was 1,847 billion. We used 1,802 to service debts. That is 98%. And we're borrowing more. By our last year budget, we promised that our borrowing will be 30%. We borrowed about 60. This year, our budget is about 18 trillion. Out of which we say we are going to borrow only 6 trillion. I can assure you there's no way we can generate more than 6 trillion. So we're going to borrow 12. And you're servicing that. In the next 1 year, we will need to borrow, which is what we're doing today, because 100% of what we earn as revenue will not be enough to service our debts. Because the entire money you borrowed was for consumption. So there's no deck where they play music, was busy dancing and thinking that they are still there until everything went under. That's what is happening in this country.
State Affairs with Edmondo Bilo is live.
That's Peter Obi there. You remember that in April 2021, when Godwin Obaseki, the governor of Edo State, raised the alarm of impending national bankruptcy, he was reacting to the statement of the finance minister that Nigeria's debt was at a sustainable limit. At the time, he advised the minister to ask for help to stem the obvious fiscal slide facing the country. It was a call on her to accept that all is not well, instead of pretending that the sad situation of the country's finances is safe. Obaseki asked the federal government last year to take urgent steps to end what he calls monetary rascality to save the state from precarious economic challenges. A week before his admonition, the Edo State governor had asserted that the federal government printed about 50 to 60 billion to share to the federating units in March 2021. While speaking on the state of the economy, Obaseki said Nigeria runs a very strange economy and strange presidential system where the local, state, and federal government at the end of the month go and earn salary by sharing. He wonders why the Nigerian system cannot be run on the basis of tax collection from the people, like in other virile democracies. He sounds the alarm. We are in trouble, huge financial trouble. He goes on to give a picture of the crude oil mirage. What I have done in this voice note you are about to listen to is to make Dr. Ahmed reply Obaseki's points as if they were listening and responding to each other in the same forum.
The major oil companies, Shell, Chevron, who are the ones producing, they are no longer investing as much in oil. Chevron is now one of the world's largest investors in oil. Shell is pulling out of Nigeria. So in another year or so, where will we find this money that we go to Abuja to share every month? Last month, we got FAC for March. The federal government printed an additional 50 to 60 billion to top up for us to share. We say remove subsidy. They say no. This April, next week again, we'll go to Abuja, we will share.
The issue that has been raised by the Edo State Governor for me is it is not a fact. What we distribute at FAC is the revenue that is generated, and the FAC distribution revenue is a public information. We publish it. So it's revenue generated by the FRS, the customs, the NMPC that we distribute at FAC. So it is not true to say we printed money to distribute at FAC. It is not true.
By the end of this year, total borrowings, the total we have borrowed is going to be in excess of 15 to 16 trillion. And my worry is that we wake up one day, like Aja will be 1,000, 2,000, it will be moving. Because we don't, you can imagine a family, you don't have money coming in, you're just borrowing and borrowing and borrowing without any means or idea of how to pay back.
The Nigerian debt is still within sustainable limits. What we need to do, as I've said several times, is to improve our revenue to enhance our capacity to service not only our debt obligations, but to service the needs of running government on a day-to-day basis.
State Affairs with Edmondo Bilo is live.
You know, that was 2021 conversation. Is Obaseki all right? That is where we are. That is where we are. But you see, the leadership is pretending about it. They cannot take care of ASU, can they? They are looking for them, but they don't look for money for campaigns. They stockpile money for elections. You saw what they did during the primaries? The country is broke, but the politicians are not broke. So something is wrong somewhere. The country is broke, the politicians are not broke. You saw how they unleashed dollar, pounds and euro to win victory? And you think such presidential candidates will lead the country to development? You'll be daydreaming. Never. My understanding of politics now, I know that what you reap, what you sow, is what you reap. You cannot sow dishonesty and corruption during the primaries and think that will now become honest when he becomes president. No. He that comes to equity must come with clean hands. That is when the state will run well. When leaders are killers, when leaders are criminals, when leaders are terrorists, the land will be a land of terrorists. will be a land of criminals. You see, righteousness exalts a nation. When people read the Bible and say, oh, it's a Christian book, no, it's a philosophical book. Righteousness exalts a nation. Don't look at it from the angle of a Christian. When you do good, the country will be exalted. Because Nigerians are not good. It's not just also the leaders. When leaders have bad character, it affects the character of the general populace. That is why, the politician came. He didn't give us money and he wants to win election. That's what the people accept. Or the journalist interviews the politician. Oh, he didn't give me money. The journalist is angry. Because it has become so transactional. Or you visit children, uncle came to the house, and uncle was money. People now judge your values on the basis of what you dole out. Or you go to an eatery, and the gate man is running up and down to open this door, coming to drag your door with you to close it. And you don't give, recently, I was not looking at the guy's face. He was frowning. I wasn't going to give him shishing. I don't give money on the basis of all those kind of things. In fact, if he was even quiet and not running after me, that's when I would give out something. But you want to come and start those, I can't close my door myself. Or you want to start carrying my bag. Those things don't chew me. Yes, sometimes you do it, thank you, no doubt. But if you think on the basis of that, that is when you gain my favor. No way. I'll stand my ground, I won't give you. Go and work for your own money. We are all working. There should be dignity in labor. People have lost dignity now. That's why the police at the checkpoint is begging. He sees a car, God, we have been here, we have been here. So what? Is that not your job? You're under the sun. Do you know when I'm in the forest running around Fulani men to cover video, did I complain to you that I've been under the sun with me and my guys chasing Fulani men in the bush? Do your job. We're under here. It annoys me. But sometimes I just say, calm down. It's the character of the state. To change that, we need to change the character of the state. So sometimes I just calm down. It's okay, don't be too rigid. Just calm down. So, Obaseki has proven to us that this is where we are. We'll be back after this break. Don't go away.
Splash FM 105.5. State Affairs with Edmondo Bilo is live.
Chinedu! Don't worry, Ma. He'll be home on time, just like his dad. I'm cooking their favorite jollof with mix. They are here.
Hey, is that jollof ready?
Right on time.
Your loved ones will always rush home for tasty meals prepared with Sonia tomato mix.
It's so good eating together with a family.
Yes, Ma.
Sonia tomato mix brings you together. Proudly Nigerian.
As farmers struggle to produce, herdsmen and their cows destroy the farms. As you drive into the settlement, you are welcomed by its rustiness. As our car gallops through the bad road, we see why the potentials of the farm settlement are not reached. The potentials of the settlement are severely limited by poor infrastructure, crude agricultural methods, and invasion by herdsmen.
We need to go see for ourselves. So we are on the move. Come with us.
It's a journey into discovery. It's a mission to encounter herders and the farms. Now that we are at the waterside, we meet a freshness that reminds us of the poor condition of the settlement.
There's a lot of challenges. Even in 2018, we experienced bad experience here. The Bororo people, they killed one of our labor at this place.
They killed one of your workers here?
Yes. And we formed the government at that time. Never responded anything to us. Even some of them will still leave this place just now because they are too much here. They are too, look, you will see them. See now. They are the one we are talking about. Can you see them for far away from that place?
So they have houses inside this bush?
They don't have house. They just came through the night and live here by the dawn of the day.
They come with their cattle?
With their cattle.
And they eat your crop?
Yes. Even before we left this place yesterday, it's around 8 o'clock. They are plenty. So until we scatter them away before we leave here.
How do you scatter? Do you talk to them?
We talk to them. They leave my farm.
Leave our farm.
And so what would they say?
They can go.
By the time we told them, they leave. But sometimes when they told them like that, they will not leave. They will still came in the midnight to destroy the farm. After they saw that all the farmer was away from the farm, they will still came back and destroyed the farm. Even if we can have chance to go there, we have a cassava farm. They have destroyed about 5 acres out of 35 acres that were there. So destroy everything there. It was there now. They destroy about out of 35 acres that we get for that place. They don't respond. Even when you told them that they are destroy your farm, they will tend to fight with you. Even if you are not married yourself, they can kill you.
Do they hold weapons?
They hold weapons. Even like sometimes.
Like gun or cutlass?
They sold gun to one of our labor, but that labor was already left here as a matter of time. The boy they killed in 2018, they killed him with cutlass. They won't cut his head, but the cutlass managed to cut the head into two. So the picture of that thing is
They are nomads. They are wandering cattlemen destroying farms as they move. Cyprian Quincy, in his book Burning Grass, says that when they begin to burn grass in northern Nigeria, it is time for the herdsmen to be moving the cattle southwards to the banks of the Great River. Since 1992, when the book was published, herdsmen have moved beyond the river bank with their cows into towns and villages, ravaging farms and attacking farmers. It is behind the clashes at the root of insecurity in Nigeria.
Ìyún ni Fúlàní, wọn ò jẹ́ gbádùn ládùúgbò rárá. So tí a bá sì ti ṣòfin báyìí wọ́n tú ká ní àti ẹ̀mọ́ solúsọ̀ tá a yìí ṣe sí mọ́ tó ti sú wa. So àwa wà ń bẹ ìjọba wọ́n dákun kí wọ́n ràn wá lọ́wọ́. Wọ́n kódà wọ́n dára lóru ni tí wọ́n ó jẹ oko wa láti ní rí wọn mú. Ìjọba ló lè bá wọn sọ̀rọ̀ kí wọ́n gbọ́. Kí lágbára àgbẹ̀ ká. agbára àgbò ní nǹkan àfẹ́ tó bá fẹ́ fẹ̀mí ara ẹ̀ wéwu ló kù.
Yes, as we look at the political situation in Osun State, let me make this point that the implication Nigeria's financial condition is that the country is not productive and cannot fund education and health care. It means Nigeria does not have the capacity to implement its budget for 2022. It goes borrowing to meet some of its expectations. By excessive borrowing, Nigeria is now living beyond its means, and she is at the mercy of lenders who would come for her head to get their money. Did Osun people come for the head of Tinubu? Did Tinubu labor in vain in Osun? Was the fight between Tinubu and Aregbesola partly to blame for what happened to Oyetola? What is that fight about? Senator Sola Adeyeye from Osun gives us a clear perspective of what that fight that contributed to the victory of Adeyeye against Oyetola. Let's listen to this May 2022 interview. Another point you raised is that some persons treat Tinubu as God. And the former governor of Osun State, Aregbesola, also made this same point. I don't understand. What are you driving at?
I'm not driving at anything. I'm telling you the truth. Let me tell you. If there is anybody who is guilty of treating Tinubu as God, it's Rauf. Because I've been at least 3 occasions where Rauf had misbehaved for no other reason than because of his loyalty to Bola Tinubu. I'll give you examples. We had a meeting of Yorubas in Lagos. Sola, what is his name? The one who was our vice presidential candidate. I think to Atiku.
Fola Adiola.
Atiku or to the man, the FCC man. Yes, he used to be a banker. Yes. And the Meji Bankole was talking. I mean, Rauf blew his top. Why? Because the Meji said something that Rauf about Tinubu that Rauf did not like. Rauf was a governor. How do you lose your composure because somebody said something about Tinubu? Tinubu himself was in the audience. He wasn't defending. That's one. Another occasion, leaders of our party, we met in Awolowo's chamber. We met in the office of the Premier of Western Region. At that time, he was being occupied by my friend, Biola Ajumabi of blessed memory. And again, Amosun got there, and Amosun said some things about Tinubu. Tinubu was there. Tinubu kept quiet. All of us were there. Baba Kande was there. Oshoba was there, and the rest of us were there. And at the end of the day, before Amosun sat down, Rauf blew his head. And every time I said, look, you're not the only admirer of Tinubu who is there, but you are the only one who blows up every time that anybody says anything you don't like about Tinubu. Tinubu is a human being, great person. But the greatest of men is still a man. The greatest of men still has foibles. And of course, all you have to do is listen to his opponents to know the foibles of Bola Tinubu. So if you blow anyway, the point I'm saying is that Rauf himself is the creation of this current spat between Rauf and Tinubu. I know the beginning of it. People like to shy away from it.
Please tell me.
I'll tell you. Isiaka Adeleke came to my office when he and I were in the Senate. He hadn't, of course, he was alive then. Dead men don't come to your office. And he said, look, Egbo, You people are planning to take the governorship from the West. If you do it, I assure you, we will destroy this party. And I said, Cherubawon, who told you this? Where did you hear that anybody is planning to take the governorship from the West? He said, look, I know you have the ears of Rauf. That's why I come to you. Please tell him that I am interested in being governor. That's Adeyeye speaking now. He said, but I'm not saying they must pick me. He said, but if you don't pick somebody from the West, that is our Western senatorial zone, he said, look, we will scatter everything. I begged him, especially by one place. We won't scatter everything. So I went to Rauf. I said, look, this is what Adeyeye said, we must be careful. Rauf said, no, nobody's thinking about that. Nobody is saying that. It's even too early to start talking about who will be governor and who will not be governor. Okay. After that, other people now began to come to me and say, we hear this is what you people are planning. So again, I went to Rauf. I said, look, this is what people told me, that this is what we are going to have. He said, look, our people, they like to lie. He said, if that's the intention of Asiwaju, he would have told me. He said, if Asiwaju has such a plan, I know he will tell two people. I know he will tell Baba Kande, and I know he will tell me. I'm telling you, Egbon, he hasn't told me. So I said, but look, this thing is widespread. Everybody is saying it everywhere. Of course, I hope he's not the most patient of men. He blew up. Egbon, how can you believe liars? I'm telling you this. I said, okay, I blew up. Sorry, along. Mabino. We let it go. And then some weeks passed by, and then the thing was persisting again. So again, I went to him. I said, look, I know you blow on me when I say this, but I must let you know. So I repeated the story that I'm told that Asiwaju wanted his brother or his cousin or his nephew, whatever they are, to be our governor. I said, let me tell you, Rauf is alive. I said, I am not opposed to Oyetola. I like Oyetola. Humble man, gentle, smart, and with considerable experience from the private sector. So I said, look, I'm not opposed to him. But if we are going to use him, we must begin to market him now, so that when the time comes, we don't have a crisis on our hands. And to market him, my opinion is, you put him in places where he gets to be exposed to the movers and shakers of the system, those that you can call the establishment of our party. In any case, I said, let's not wait to the last moment, otherwise we'll have a crisis in the hand. This time, Rauf went to town. He was so angry at me. He said, I'm telling you, nobody can tell against Asiwaju. Asiwaju doesn't have such a plan, doesn't have anything. So I said, okay, please, no matter what I hear again, after this, I will never come to you again. So, no matter what I had, I never went to him again.
State Affairs with Edmondo Bilo is live.
One day I was in my house in Abuja. I didn't know he was in Abuja. He called. Edmond, where are you? I said, I'm in my house. He said, please come. I said, come where? He said, I'm in Abuja. I said, so you and your eyes, okay. I'm coming. So I went to him. I got to his house. He and I sat for 4 hours. I got there, and he said, you know what, Egbon? We have a job on our hand. I said, what job? He said, Asiwaju wants Oyetola to be governor. I said, how many times did I come to you and said, this is what I was hearing? Twice! Twice! You exploded on me. Twice! I was telling you that if this is what Asiwaju wants, let's start on the job. Look, in politics, among party faithfuls, if you put Oyetola in charge of distributing rice, distributing Christmas goodies and Ramadan goodies and Adeyeye goodies. Within 2 cycles, he becomes the favorite of the party. That's what happened to Adeyeye. They tried to keep Adeyeye out of the government. They put him in charge of doing all the goodies. In the process, they made Adeyeye extremely popular within the party, and the man, the technocrat that you were thinking, is running the government, nobody ever saw him enough to believe that he could look at their face. So by the time the election came, honestly, Adeyeye had become the one controlling most of the apparatus and structure of the party. That's the truth. So when he now told me, I said, look, I'm not no good to be a part of this, because I've told you long ago, and I said, look, you people are doing a great disservice. You, Rauf, and Bola Tinubu, you have both done a great disservice against Oyetola, because if you knew you were going to push him, we should have been doing this job long ago. Now you are going to you are pushed out to a point where the whole of it says he must be in the West. If you say it must be in the West, Bongo says it must be West. At this point now, you now want me to say, I said, look, I'm not going to be a part of it. Fortunately, I'm old enough to retire, so I'll leave all of you to face it. Raul got up and said, Egmont, this is one time that I need you to be by my side. I'm begging you. I said, look, I will not yield to your plea. Go and tell Bola Tinubu that if we do it, we will be in trouble in Osun. I said, particularly because Chief B.C. Akande, the leader for all of us, went to the press and said, we will be just. The aspirant will come from the West. Later on, of course, for whatever reason, he also said, well, there's no zoning in democracy. And so we now find ourselves where an entire zone was against us, and the sympathizers from that zone were also against us. Many of them from my own senatorial zone, many from Raul's senatorial zone, because they said, look, when it was your turn, Raul, we stood by your people, we stood by your candidate. Now you don't want to stand by our own man. So I told him, I don't want to be a part of it. Anyway, Raul begged and begged. I said, why don't we, that this thing will create trouble from us and we won't be able to manage it. Raul said he had told him. I said, what did he tell you? Raul said he told him that since you have been governor, have I ever asked you for anything? And he said, look, the truth is, the man had never asked him for anything. I said, yes. If I were in your shoes, I would say, Oga, you have never asked me for anything. But that which you are asking now is too late. I'm not able to do it. It's going to put us in trouble. And that's what happened. In the end, they now had to come and do some magic, conclusive election, and they had to bring other people in to be their savior. Same people who faced Omowolare and were beaten flat down. Same people who contested against you and were beaten flat down. Same people who contest this time, they didn't come first, they didn't come second. They were a distant third. You now say, oh, these are the ones to save us now. Look, there's too much. Wherever you have Iraq justice, whether you like it or not, every evil contains deceit for his own destruction. I pray to God that time heals all wounds. I pray to God that this next election, I will do my best to make sure Oyetola wins. I, in my heart of heart, believe Oyetola is a good man. I believe he is a good governor. But I don't believe that the circumstances under which he came in was fair to him. And it wasn't created by him. I believe Bola Tinubu was guilty of that. But even more than Bola Tinubu, Rauf was guilty of that. Because if I were in his shoes, hell no, I would have said, Oga, you initiate. And by now, whatever anger that would have been generated at that time would have settled down. We would have won the election for whoever our man is. Maybe at that point, instead of Oyetola being governor now, maybe he will be the one who will be in the Senate, or maybe he will be the one who will be minister. Oyetola is a talented man, but the circumstances under which he came in were such that it engenders strife within the party.
Okay.
And part was self-inflicted.
So how did that cause the trouble between Rauf and Tinubu?
Let me tell you, when it comes to Rauf and Tinubu, if you try to get between them, you'll be making a mistake. Because I was at a meeting where Bola himself said, if he was sleeping and there's a knife in the hand of Rauf, nobody should wake him up because he knows that Rauf will not stab him. So between them now, only the two of them know. I don't know what happened. In fact, I don't talk about either to the other because, as I told you, the kind of love and passion that Rauf had for Tinubu, only God knows what could have gone wrong between them. The only thing is, if Rauf felt that he had issues with the governor of Osun and expected that Asiwaju would be objective in looking at it, if he felt he wasn't objective, honestly, that's between them. I can't say this is what happened between them, but I've just told you the thing I experienced and how the genesis of this happened. And I told him, I said, okay, this is what Asiwaju wants? I said, tell him that I've committed to it. Tell him I will do my best. I spent more money on the election of Oyetola than I have ever spent on my own election. I repeat, on radio, I spent more money on the election of Oyetola than I've ever spent on the election of myself. And I'll say this further. Rauf was a governor for 8 years. In those 8 years, not once did I ask him for a contract. Not once did I ask him for a job for anybody, whether my relative or my friend. Because if I were in that position, the system I will put in place will not allow you to come to me to ask for a job or contract. There will be process. And if you can't go through the process, that's your tough luck.
State Affairs with